easy mark. They saw a guy who liked young kids and wanted to be around them, and they saw the money.
They had done it before, argued Mesereau, and he brought to the stand newspaper editor Connie Keenan, who had received a phone call from the accuser's mother.
Her son was ill with cancer, and they were losing their house, and they were losing their car because of the medical expenses.
Keenan felt sorry for the sick boy and eventually agreed to do a story. A few weeks later, the mother called again.
She said, "You know what? We didn't make enough money from the first story. Will you run another story?"
The mother's phone call prompted the reporter to do more research on the family. She was stunned and shaken to learn that the family was insured and their medical expenses had been covered all along.
It gives me goosebumps. It does. It does. That a mother would use her son to use her son's illness for their own gain.
The next time she saw the boy, it was on television, in the documentary Living with Michael Jackson. Defense attorney Tom Mesereau played outtakes from the film, which showed how producer Martin Bashir conned Michael Jackson.
But you know, he was just, "Oh, you're so wonderful with children. Oh, children love you so much. Oh, I love to watch everything you do." And here's Jackson, you know, gushing his heart out. And so part of it, you thought, Jesus, everybody that surrounds Jackson, take advantage of him? Everybody?
Not everybody. Former child actor Macaulay Culkin saved the day for the defense team by coming to court to testify he had slept with Michael Jackson frequently and was never molested.
This is not somebody saying, I saw something. This is Culkin saying, you're talking about me, and I'm coming in here to tell you this didn't happen to me.
Other young men who shared Michael's bed came forward too.
And the other 3 men who were supposedly molested testified that they were not. That weighed a lot on me, that they were put out there as being molested, and deny that.
But with those witnesses on the stand, the prosecutor seized the moment to reinforce his theory that Michael Jackson is a sexual deviant. With witness Wade Robson, the prosecutor brought out Michael's extensive collection of pornography.
He was shown a book, another book taken from Michael Jackson's house, with men engaged in sodomy, oral copulation, that type of thing.
And basically brought it out and said, what do you think of a man who has pictures like these? Would you leave your kids with this person?
And Wade Robson said, under his breath, looking down, yes, that would bother me. And it was a stunning moment that gave me a really sick feeling.
But the defense recovered, pressing on with attacks on the credibility of the accuser and his mother. Earlier in the trial, she testified that she had been held hostage at Neverland. But Mesereau produced a witness who had given her a spa treatment at that time.
Did she call for help? No. Did she tell the person at the spa that she was being held against her will? No. What did she do? She had a body wax.
She went on shopping sprees and even had dental surgery, never once mentioning she was being held captive. The defense knew that its attack on the mother would stick, thanks to the work of Chief Investigator Scott Ross. He had uncovered a grifter scheme, which the accuser's mother used to teach her children how to get money from people.
She taught them what to say, and they said it. They had typed out notes that they would come home every day from school, and they would read from them. These kids were taught to disarm people. There was a consistent statement made by almost every witness that had dealings with the family that these kids would come up and greet them with a hug. These kids would write cards, we love you, you're like a big sister to us, can we come stay at your house? This was a pattern that they had set.
And when the kids scored some money, says Ross, the mother would put it in a special bank account.
She was the only one that had access to it. She was the only signer. She was filtering money through it.
Throughout the trial, the defense successfully portrayed the accuser as an astute young liar, scripted by his mother. But some observers thought the strategy was flawed, because it allowed the prosecutor to counter the charges with his most damning evidence against Michael Jackson. Late in the trial, he showed a videotaped police interview done with the accuser close to the time of the alleged molestation.
And then you just see that pure tape of a kid kid-like, you know, reluctant to say anything. He's not cunning. He's not a grifter. He's not out for money, at least not in that tape.
For the jury, it was a powerful piece of evidence.
That kind of turned my opinion around as far as how I felt about this case. You look at the accuser and you say, well, do you believe his story about being molested? And to me, it seemed very believable.
And from that moment, I thought that there was a seismic shift in the case. That the defense, which had been out in front and winning, was suddenly 4 feet deep in a hole that they had to find a way out of.
The defense had one ace in the hole, a red carpet of celebrity witnesses who would say the accuser's family had tried to get money from them.
It never happened. I mean, Jay Leno testified that the family never asked him for anything. They never asked him for any money.
They talked about Chris Tucker, you know, being a stronger witness. He didn't have that.
Tom Mesereau had also hinted he would put Michael Jackson on the stand. The press eagerly awaited the moment, but in the end, only videotaped interviews of Michael were shown.
Well, I told the jury in my opening statement they'd hear from him, and they did. They heard hours of interviews with him in the trial on videotape. And at some point, I still thought of putting him on, but realized they had not proved their case, and they never were going to prove it. So we made a decision that it wasn't necessary.
The defense was able to have Michael Jackson talk to those jurors without the threat of cross-examination. And it was a brilliant move and a fortunate move for the defense. It's always a risky proposition to put anyone, especially Michael Jackson, on the stand. This is a person, you could have a day with him just talking about his allegations of